My mother passed away just about 3 years ago, and I didn't go to counseling for the first year because I was afraid. I had all these preconceived notions that counseling is for people who can't handle their own problems. And to be honest, I was just afraid. I was scared. I didn't want to talk about it because I thought it would just bring everything up and it would just make it worse. I didn't want to feel that anymore. But today I'm going to talk about why counseling and therapy is so good and so beneficial. And I wish I had gone right away. Now, first of all, going to counseling is a sign of weakness, is probably the most popular excuse that people make for not going to counseling. And actually, the opposite is true because it takes a lot of courage and strength to admit that you have a problem or that you need help from someone else. And it's actually it in my opinion it's pretty weak to not to be afraid of talking about your feelings like I was. And I avoided it for so long just because I was afraid. Another 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 reason people refrain from going to counseling is because they don't feel like they would be comfortable talking to a stranger. And that's just that's another notion that is just not true. It's not true because talking to a counselor is not like talking to a friend or a relative because it's all about you. And they're there just for you to talk. That's all they're there for, is for you to talk. And when you talk to friends or family about something that's happened to you, it's probably happened to them too. And it can be not helpful. It can be well, it is helpful, but it's more of a two-way street and you're there for them and they're there for you. But in counseling, they're there for you. It's all about you and just about you. And it's so much easier to work things out with somebody who's impartial and they don't know you, they don't like have any emotional connection to you. They're just there to help. And I think the third most popular reason is that it's overwhelming. It's for a lot of people, it's hard to talk about your feelings. Like if you grow up in a family like I did where you don't really talk about emotions or things like that, it can be hard. And even the thought of going to see a counselor can be just nerve wracking and make you so nervous. And I was so nervous and I kept saying like I'm gonna go and then I wouldn't go and my wife finally made an appointment for me and I thank her every day that she did because it was a tremendous help. And one of the hardest parts about getting better or getting over these things is that first step. Going to counseling is so hard. It's hard to push past that, but once you do, it's so much better. And every time it's still hard sometimes because sometimes I would go and I would think like, oh man, what am I gonna talk about? I don't have anything to talk about. Like I don't know, be nervous, but they're professionals. They know what to ask you to get you to talk, and they know after a while they get to know you. They know your problems. They know what you talk about, and they ask you like one question, and then I wouldn't shut up for the entire hour. But so it's like the hardest part is just going the first time. The first time is always the hardest for a lot of different things. And I'll end with a quote that says, "There came a time when the risk to remain tight in the bud was more painful than the risk it took to blossom." And this quote is by Anais Nin, and it hits home pretty hard because it's 100% true and I can relate to it 100% because it feels like it's gonna be hard to open up, but it's harder to stay in that state of pain. It's incredibly hard on you to just keep everything bottled up. It doesn't help. It's not good. And to end on that, I want to say just a few things about just how much I appreciate counseling. It's given me my life back. I was a nervous wreck all the time. If my wife didn't answer a call or text me back, I would immediately jump to like, oh no, like somebody broke in, something's wrong, and I would freak out. But I got over all these things because I was afraid and of something happening to her, like something had happened to my mom, and eventually going to counseling instead of just talking to yourself, which is not good. Talk to someone and get the help you need.